They won't even know why they're thinking about you, but they will, constantly. Their mind infected, their choices bent, their emotions yours to sculpt. Machiavelli never used the word obsession, but he described it. Men are driven by two forces, he wrote, love and fear. But there's something deeper, obsession. Obsession isn't just about attraction, it's about control. When someone is obsessed with you, they don't just like you. They rearrange their life around you. They wake up thinking about you. They change how they speak, how they dress, how they act because of you. You can engineer this. So how do you do it? The same way Machiavelli controlled kings. He understood this one rule. Obsession is not sparked by what you give. It's ignited by what you withhold. If you want to make someone obsessed with you, don't flood them with your presence. Don't be too available. That only creates comfort. And comfort kills curiosity. Instead, do what Machiavelli would do. Starve them of certainty. Obsession begins when the mind can't predict you, when they don't know whether you admire them or are merely tolerating them, when they're unsure whether your last glance was passion or pure calculation. This emotional starvation keeps them in a mental loop, because the brain hates unsolved puzzles. You become that puzzle by letting silence hang longer than comfort allows, by answering a message a little too late, by pulling away the moment they lean in. Machiavelli never gave a full answer, never revealed his full loyalty, and never ever gave people the certainty they craved, because certainty ends the chase. Uncertainty lights the fire. Once you've sparked interest through absence and silence, it's time to mirror, but not completely. You need to show them fragments of what they want, just enough to think, this person gets me, but never enough to feel like they have you figured out. Machiavelli called this strategic reflection. You reflect their desires, but only in controlled doses. They want ambition. You reveal a ruthless vision once. They crave vulnerability. You show just a flicker, then cover it up with a joke. They want intensity. You give it for a moment, then retreat into calm coldness. The mind doesn't obsess over what it understands. It obsesses over what it almost understands. Now that they're interested, now that they're trying to decode you, you begin to train their brain. It's called intermittent reinforcement. Give them warmth, then nothing. Give them praise, then criticism. Pull them close, then vanish. Repeat irregularly. This creates a dopamine loop in their brain. They keep checking their phone. They reread your words because their reward system is hijacked. Just like gamblers at a slot machine, never knowing when the next hit will come. You're not offering love, you're offering hope. And hope, once weaponized, is more addictive than love ever was. Machiavelli understood something few do. The deepest obsessions don't come from pleasure, they come from pain, the kind that already exists. Most people walk around with a silent wound, abandonment, rejection, insecurity. You don't create that pain, but you become the only one who seems to understand it. You listen without fixing, you acknowledge without judging. You see the part of them they try to hide, and slowly you position yourself, not as a person, but as a solution. They need you, because being around you doesn't just feel good, it feels like healing. And once someone believes that, they don't walk away. They can't. If you ever demand obsession, attention, loyalty, you destroy it. True obsession isn't requested, it's provoked. Let your absence scream louder than your presence. Let your indifference sharpen their desire. Let your unpredictability drive them mad with imagination. Machiavelli never begged for loyalty. He made himself so fascinating, so impossible to decode that people gave it to him willingly. You don't tell them to obsess. You become the obsession. They want to know who you are, but you won't let them. Because the moment they understand you, they stop chasing you. Machiavelli never gave people a final answer. He didn't want to be known. He wanted to be imagined. You must learn to live in their imagination more than in their reality. You must never present one solid, unchanging version of yourself. Predictability kills obsession. Obsession thrives in contradiction, in the friction between mystery and intimacy, coldness and warmth, power and vulnerability. Today you're intense and focused. Tomorrow you're playful, distant. Today you praise them. Tomorrow you tease them. This makes them question, which version is real? Did I do something wrong? They become addicted to solving you. You don't owe them consistency. You owe them a maze, and they'll wander it forever if you never give them a map. Want to control someone without touching them? Control when you appear. Machiavelli knew it's about when you show up and when you disappear. Here's how to make them obsess with your timing. Leave a deep conversation unfinished. Send a message that makes them feel seen, then go quiet for 8 hours. Exit when the energy is highest. Always leave them wanting. You create a void so sharp it echoes. Their mind starts asking questions. Their heart starts feeling fear. You've now entered their mental real estate, rent-free. Mirroring is a classic seduction tactic. Most people do it wrong. They think it means copying body language or parroting words. Instead, reflect their inner world back to them, but slightly distorted. You say what they've always felt, but never knew how to express. You notice things they thought no one saw. You make them feel known, but slightly misunderstood. This forces them to keep talking to you, keep engaging, because they're trying to correct the image you're reflecting. But you're not wrong. You're just almost right. That almost keeps them hooked. They want to finish the story, fix the mirror. They won't, because you won't let them. Nothing common is desired. Nothing easy is respected. You want obsession. Make yourself rare. Machiavelli knew that people worshipped what was scarce, so you must become scarce in every way. Your time never freely available. Your thoughts never fully shared. Your approval never casually given. Your attention never predictable. They should earn every interaction, because obsession doesn't come from access. It comes from earned proximity. They don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the idea of being chosen by you. And once they feel chosen, they'll fight not to be unchosen. You don't build obsession through affection. You build it through removal. Just as they start to feel close, withdraw. Just as they think they've figured you out, disappear. Just as they get comfortable, shake the foundation. Small emotional wounds, when delivered with precision, create a long-lasting effect. Your removal should never be cruel. It should be confusing. They shouldn't hate you. They should miss you. Reanalyze everything they said and did. This is the moment where obsession deepens, because now it's no longer about you. It's about how they feel about themselves in your absence. Every powerful figure in history had a signature, a scent, a word, a gesture. These tiny sensory anchors plant themselves in a person's subconscious. You do the same. A phrase only you use, a specific tone in voice when serious, a gesture that triggers memory. This becomes your fingerprint in their mind. They start seeing you in other people's words, hearing your voice in silence. This is how you move from person to presence, from human to haunting. To make someone obsessed, they must see themselves in you, and you in them. You are no longer the other. You become part of how they understand themselves. This is what Machiavelli did. He didn't just advise. He embedded himself in their choices, their fears, their pride. He became the voice they heard when making decisions. People don't obsess over others. They obsess over who they believe they are when they're with you. So you make them feel more powerful when you're around, more understood, more desired. You subtly plant values in them. You're not like everyone else. You see things others miss. You're showing them a version of themselves that only exists when you're near. Now, every time they step away from you, they feel less, and they'll return. Because the obsession isn't with you, it's with who they become around you. Assign them a powerful identity in your life. Once they're already invested, once they've begun to seek your attention, you give them a title. You're the only one who actually gets this side of me. I don't trust people easily, but with you it's different. Now they feel chosen. To lose you would mean losing that identity. That's obsession. You're a mirror for their most desired version of themselves, and people protect mirrors like they protect ego. Machiavelli wrote, "Men must either be caressed or annihilated." To truly own someone's emotional loyalty, you must hold their secrets. You don't demand confessions. You simply listen with so much silence, so much non-judgment, that they give them to you freely. When they tell you about the trauma, the failure, the shame, you don't react. You witness. That alone makes them feel safer with you than with anyone else. You are the vault. They fear their secrets will rot in silence. That fear turns to attachment. That attachment, when crafted well, becomes obsession, memory manipulation. You're not just influencing who you are to them today. You're rewriting who you were to them yesterday by reframing experiences. Remember the look you gave me when I said that? That moment changed something. When we walked by that place, I could tell you were fighting something inside. Even if it didn't happen that way, they start to believe it did. The brain is plastic. It rewires based on emotion, suggestion, repetition. You become more magical, more intense. You arrived in their narrative like a plot twist they never saw coming, but can't stop thinking about. Obsession dies when stories end. Build a shared mythology, but never finish it. Talk about places you'll visit. Describe futures. Paint vivid moments. Then vanish. You're creating what Machiavelli would call a political promise. It gives hope, but it isn't guaranteed. That unknown becomes a hook in their mind. They think, what if we actually do go? What if they were the one and I lost it? The story never ends. It suspends in the air, pulling them back toward you every time life feels cold or empty. You're the person who altered their timeline, obsessively remembered. To seal the obsession, you must give them one final ingredient. Fear, a quiet fear, a soft panic, a fear of losing you. Because once they start fearing your absence more than they value your presence, they'll seduce themselves. Machiavelli never had to threaten power directly. He just made sure people feared the idea of being outside his circle. When someone senses that your attention could vanish at any time, they tighten their grip. Start subtly. Withdraw slightly after an intense interaction. Go quiet after a moment of connection. This doesn't create hate, it creates panic. They'll ask themselves, did I say something wrong? Are they getting bored of me? You've made them believe that they are the unstable one, that they must work to keep you close. They'll do anything to keep the door from closing. People don't fear losing what they don't value. So your job is to give them something sacred, but just a taste. Enough that they feel trusted, maybe even special. Now, if they lose you, they don't just lose a person, they lose a privilege. And humans are wired to panic over loss of privilege. You must offer your loyalty like a rare wine. A sip here, a toast there. But never the whole bottle. They'll crave more. And they'll fear the day you stop pouring. Everyone has an insecurity they're running from. You're here to become the one person who makes it disappear, but only sometimes. When you make them feel powerful, seen, whole, they associate relief with your presence. But when you subtly vanish, that insecurity returns. They begin to equate you with relief. You're the only thing keeping their fear from devouring them. They become emotionally dependent, not on your words, not even on your love, but on the version of themselves they can only access through you. Now, even the thought of you leaving becomes unbearable. Fear disguised as attachment. Most people fear rejection because it leaves them without closure. If someone feels like you might leave, they'll panic. But if they feel like you could leave for a reason that's their fault, they'll try harder. Never threaten to walk away. Instead, introduce thoughts like, "I've always admired your strength. I just hope you don't become like everyone else. People lose me not because I leave, but because they forget how rare I am." You're not pushing them away. You're making them terrified of pushing you away. Now, they're not just drawn to you, they're guarding you like fragile gold. Once you've embedded yourself into their identity, memories, desires, you become their moral compass. You subtly guide their decisions. You're better than this. That's not how I see you. Pull away, just enough to make them wonder if they've lost your respect. Now they don't chase your affection, they chase your moral approval. And once you control someone's self-image, you control everything. You can go silent, and they will. Text 3 times. Scroll through your old messages. Analyze your last words. Machiavelli would do nothing, because silence is louder than explanation. You've made them dependent on your unpredictability. They're hooked on trying to fix what they never broke. They're already chasing their own obsession. You simply remain a few steps away, always near, never reachable. Obsession still needs fuel. Nothing feeds it more than a perfectly timed vanishing act. When you are no longer present, your power begins to expand. He knew the moment you remove yourself is the moment you become larger than life. You no longer chase attention, you become the absence that haunts it. You don't ghost them, you don't block them, you simply fade. A small delay in your replies, a slight reduction in warmth. Never give them a reason. If they ask what's wrong, you offer calm confusion. Nothing's wrong, I've just been in my head. So they start blaming themselves. Did I overwhelm them? Was I never enough? And that's what makes them obsessed. During your fade out, you don't vanish entirely. You leave behind triggers, a playlist you once shared, a location you always met at, a phrase they now hear everywhere. This is how you become a ghost that lives in their everyday life. Their mind starts filling in the blanks. Their own imagination becomes your voice. Obsession needs friction. Leave small traces. Watch their story but never reply. Like a comment but never text. Send a vague message with no context, then go silent again. These breadcrumbs reignite the hope that they're still on your mind. That hope keeps them crawling through the emotional desert, praying for a drop of attention. You are no longer the person they desire. You are the answer they crave, out of emotional dehydration, and you've made yourself the only source of water. After a period of silence, you reappear, but not as the same person. You come back, colder, sharper, more in control, less emotionally expressive, and you treat them differently, just with reduced softness. They'll sense the shift, they'll feel the distance, they'll try to get back what they once had. But you never return fully. You let them know through tone and behavior. You were close, but something's changed. This makes your presence even more valuable. They're not chasing who you are, they're chasing who you used to be. And people never stop chasing ghosts they once felt safe with. They try everything, but none of it works because you've made yourself unreachable. They're no longer chasing you. They're chasing relief from the person they became because of you. They are now trapped in a cycle of their own making, built from your silence, your warmth, your withdrawal, your return. You gave them just enough paradise to make reality unbearable without you. Legend status. Start shaping your myth. Speak about your past in poetic, ambiguous ways. Let others describe you in extreme terms, mysterious, powerful, unreadable. Never defend your image, let them argue over it. Once someone starts defending you to others, they've become your priest, part of your myth. You are no longer just a person they knew. You are a story they can't stop telling. And stories live longer than memories. Now it's time to use it. Machiavelli wanted to be obeyed. Obsession, if sculpted properly, becomes the purest form of control. Because once someone's identity is tied to you, they don't just want you. They need to prove themselves to you. And that's when they'll do anything without ever being asked. When someone obsesses over you, they're constantly seeking validation. Give validation not based on love, but based on loyalty. You don't reward their affection. You reward their alignment. They defend you. You give warmth. They echo your beliefs. You open up. They follow your unspoken rules. You show appreciation. They begin to understand. The more I act in accordance with what pleases them, the more I feel whole. That's behavioral loyalty. Now, raise the bar with silence. Make it clear through energy alone that there are standards in your presence. Emotional self-control, elegance under pressure, loyalty without prompting. You don't explain these expectations. You embody them. They start self-correcting. They notice what you like and shape themselves accordingly. Because they don't want to lose you. This is how you create invisible laws. Not with punishment, but with selective warmth. Surface-level obsession fades. But obsession rooted in ideology lasts forever. What real, uncomfortable, elegant truths do you live by? That most people are too soft to lead. That loyalty should be earned. That silence reveals more than words. You drop these truths casually. If they agree, they begin reshaping their values to mirror yours. Not out of force, but out of admiration. They're no longer just obsessed with you. They're obsessed with being like you. Be the answer to a question they don't know how to ask. People walk around with voids they can't articulate. A desire to feel dangerous. A craving to be seen deeply. You don't fill these voids directly. You create the illusion that only you understand them. This makes leaving you feel like spiritual death. They may try to walk away, but every relationship after you will feel too shallow. Because you weren't just a person. You were a doorway to a version of themselves they liked more, and you closed it. Machiavelli never told people what to do. He made them believe it was their own idea. You plant ideas like seeds, then water them slowly with praise. You always think a step ahead. You see through things most people miss. Now they believe aligning with you is intelligence. Pleasing you is strength. They think it was their idea all along. That's the art of control without resistance. You're no longer just you. You've become what you represent. You're not seen as a flawed human anymore. You've been mythologized by design. Machiavelli knew that fear and awe work best when the source is slightly inhuman. Remain distant. Speak carefully. Let mystery replace explanation. You're no longer part of their life. You're above it. You influence it from the shadows.